This is the Jared Presley experience, and this is Emily. If you can you tell me a bit about yourself and your work?
Yeah, so first and foremost, I'm working on a fantasy book, which would
Nice.
probably not be as apparent from my social media presence. But that's really what I've spent the bulk of my time doing for like the last 5 years.
Oh, wow.
Um, so fantasy author first, but last year I decided that I was gonna dip my toes into social media. So I suppose I am now somewhat of a content creator on there. I've toyed around with different types of content. I've done a lot of poetry though. I do a lot of collage art that I use my photography to help me with. Um, yeah, so I guess I would say storyteller and artist.
And you kind of mix it all in one sometimes with some of the posts you do, like this collage, poetry, photography, and it's all within, it's kind of a mix of things.
Yeah. Yeah, mixed media, perhaps. I don't know if that would apply here, but kind of.
Um, I would say so. I would describe it as such. So, as far as the writing, when did you first start writing?
Yeah, it's my whole life. It's been my whole life.
Essentially, since you were able to.
Since I was able to, yeah, like I distinctly remember being very excited in like kindergarten and first grade about this family of lions I had made up called the Star Family. And then there are other little universes, little stories I remember making throughout grade school, high school. I was a little busy in college, but yeah, and now I'm still making stories. So basically as long as I can remember.
Oh, yes, yes. And as far as this will be your first book, the fantasy book, correct?
Correct.
Cool. What led up to you wanting to do this fantasy book?
Happenstance.
How so?
So when I started writing it, I did not go into it saying, I'm going to make this super cool fantasy book and I'm going to see it through to the end and I'm going to have it published. And all of these things are now things I definitely want to do and I'm working towards. But when I started writing it, I was between jobs.
Oh,
And
wow.
well, let me go back to doing what I love since I have so much spare time now.
Yeah.
So it really was just this thing that I started writing on my laptop. And then I had done a year of doing just this thing on my laptop. And I was like, wait a minute, I kind of like this. I think I can take this farther. And that's how it started.
So obviously you're a writer, but you read a lot as a kid. Was there any specific writers that really inspired you to do this, or any big influences?
So if we're going to focus on children's books, I did have quite a few favorites. So one of them was, have you heard of the Magic Treehouse series? With like Annie and Jack. They're these two siblings and they go on these adventures together.
No, unfortunately not.
Yeah,
Um,
so that was one of them. The Lord of the Rings, I
oh
really
yes, a
enjoyed.
classic.
Yeah. Any other oh, I remember a book series called Artemis Fowl. I really liked. I
I've
liked the
heard
series.
of it, but I
Yeah.
don't know if I've read it.
I enjoyed it as a kid.
Okay.
Um, I did I was curious maybe last year and I was like, let me revisit some of the children books that I really enjoy and see how I still like them. And my tastes have changed.
It's just interesting. The ones that I read, they're not in the list that you listed. It's
Hmm.
all cool. There's so many children's books. Like when I was growing up, I'm thinking like there's Dr. Seuss,
Hmm.
obviously, there's the Sesame Street ones, the Berenstain Bears,
Ah, the Berenstain Bears. Yeah, I read those.
and there's I forget.
Drew, the Hardy Boys.
Oh yes, and there's the one I forget what they're called, the Frog and Toad. Is
Oh, I love Frog and Toad. Yeah.
that what it's called? Okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think that's what it's called.
And some of those old
Um,
time books. I mean, it's been so long that I have to really think about it. But like if I see it, I recognize it.
Franklin
Like
the Turtle.
that's a little. I don't think I know what it is, but
Mm.
I did not read it, unfortunately. Where the wild things are.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah.
Beautiful art. The one at
Speaking.
Caldecott.
Oh yes. Speaking of art, as far as a fantasy book, is will there be artwork involved in it, or is it purely text?
So I would love if there were artwork involved in it. I have Yeah. On the back end, where I store all of my notes about my book, I have certain images that I would want to go with each chapter, kind of like how the old Harry Potter books used to be. At the beginning
Yeah.
of each chapter, there was a picture. I do have that. Um, I would love for there to be illustrations kind of like intermixed into the book. Some books do that.
Yeah.
It's like largely just words, and then there might be like one illustration maybe every 3 chapters or something like that.
Mhm.
Um, so I would love that, but I am hoping to be traditionally published, and with that, the publisher makes a lot of calls,
Yes.
and I have not gotten to that stage of my writing journey yet, so we
And
will see.
when you mean traditionally published, so as far, I mean, obviously, when you mean that, you mean there will be an actual publisher that actually it's not self-published. There'll be an actual publishing company
Right,
involved,
right, exactly.
and the hope is to have it in both printed and digital form.
Yes.
And if it was up to you, as far as the illustrations or whatnot, would you hope to do them yourselves, or would you hire an artist?
It's really hard to answer that one because I really enjoy illustrating and I would love to have that creative control with my book. But that said, there are some fantastic artists out there that frankly would probably do my scenes in my book more justice.
Now, I understand that because there's times in my music that I can technically play bass, but there's bass players that are just for what I'm wanting. I know that they can do a better job, so I understand. It's
Hmm.
still your vision, and you're still directing. I would assume the illustrators or whatnot, but they would be the ones who have like that's what they do.
Right. Right.
It's more of your budget, and there is a budget with writing. Obviously, it's not going to be as much as like film or whatnot, but there's still a budget, especially with printed books,
Yeah.
and that is the thing. What age range would you say this fantasy book is? It young adult, adult, children's, or
So I would not say it's a children's book.
okay,
Definitely not. I would hesitate to say it's young adult. I would say it might be more like emerging adult slash adult. The reason I say this is because I have an exercise that I do, and I'll go into the bookstore and I'll peruse different young adult books. It's been a while since I read a young adult book,
yes.
and I don't feel as though the the way in which the stories are told, what they focus on, the themes they focus on necessarily, I don't think that that's my focus with my book. Not to say I don't think a young adult could enjoy my book. I really think a young adult could, but I don't think I would use that term to market it, if that makes sense.
Oh, I understand, and those terms they're definitions by publishers per
Right.
se, and there's an argument that gets in a whole discussion of what constitutes young adult,
Hmm.
because some people's opinions may be very different on that. I've
Hmm.
heard even people describe Lord of the Rings as such, and I would not describe that as young adult.
Hmm.
That's more just all ages, I guess.
Yeah, yeah.
But I mean, again, you're talking about marketing terms, and I think like when I'm thinking, going back to the illustrations, one of the more important things they say that you can't judge a book by its cover, but sometimes I mean sometimes that is what draws people in, and I feel like that would be one of the hardest things. That would be the most important illustration or photo or whatnot.
Hmm.
So, have you thought
I
about?
absolutely judge books by their cover sometimes. I mean, frankly, if I see just stunning artwork, I can't help but be drawn in.
Okay, this is especially true in the comic book world or
Yeah.
manga.
And
Uh,
the fantasy world as well. Fantasy covers, they're quite intricate.
I
If you
forget.
compare the fantasy covers compared to like the fiction covers that you'll see in the bookstore,
Yeah.
there's a market difference. There's a lot more, I would say, texture there.
Oh yeah, but you
Feels
have
like studio art.
but you it's the subject matter. It's fantasy. Like if it's a nonfiction book, then that's people who are looking for that. That's not really a pull. They're looking for information.
Hmm.
But
Hmm.
as far as a fantasy, you kind of want to have maybe an idea, a, a general idea of maybe what this looks like, so you can picture it in your head as you read.
Hmm. Hmm.
In general.
It's interesting to me the realm of just fiction books, not fantasy, not nonfiction, just fiction. It's so wide and so varied. And um, sorry if you see the light.
Oh no, it's all good.
I have an umbrella above me rotating.
No, it's all good.
Okay. Yeah, it's so wide and it's so varied. You know, horror falls under the umbrella of fiction or speculative fiction. Um, Even sometimes there is nonfiction fiction, like historically inspired.
Yeah, it's like basically inspired by historic events, but it's a fictional element. Like
Right.
for example, like one using a movie like the Titanic movie. There's stuff like that that is based on historic events, but there's stuff in there that's obviously written.
Hmm.
So, but some of that is interesting. And that gets into a blending of different genres by far.
Hmm.
But on that note, there's so much out there, just fiction alone. Do you ever feel drowned? Like how there's so many different writers, especially now with digital, a lot of self-published writers, and it's just so much out there. I think the one of the hardest things is just getting noticed and people to actually check out your work or anyone else's work. Um,
Absolutely. Absolutely. It does feel like sometimes like the market is saturated and like there's so many good writers out there. And it's funny because I've encountered self-published or like smaller authors whose work is not super well known, and I'm like, wow, like you're really talented. And then I'll read maybe a book by a more well-known author in all the big bookstores and I'll be like, I mean, it's good, but the discrepancy in how famous or popular one of them is compared to the other, I don't think there's the same corresponding discrepancy in talent.
no, it's not always, and that's with music, art, or anything. Sometimes someone, like for a better term, more popular doesn't necessarily mean that the writing to you or whoever else may be better.
Hmm.
Maybe just that they just have a wider audience or just more reader friendly, or
Hmm.
they just got lucky. I mean,
Hmm. There's
and
mhm.
and I'm just thinking about it's a different world than when I was a kid because most of the stuff I read was at the library. I just couldn't buy books all the time. Obviously, there's a financial thing with that, but the library you can check it out. Um, there still are libraries. It's unfortunately in a lot of ways the world's changed. I just don't like kids that I know today. I know a few from family and friends. They just don't go to the library as much as I did as a kid.
Yeah,
That's what I've noticed. But there's so much competing things out there with social media, YouTube,
yeah.
what have you. As far as the future of kids being born in this decade, and like, how do you envision reading in the future? Do you ever worry about that?
Do I worry about reading in the future?
Yeah, as far as like less and less people. I mean, there's so much out there that people might not really be compelled to read as much as they did when you and I were growing up.
Yeah, unfortunately, kids are reading less these days. Um, I guess, yeah, I have to worry about that as a writer. I think if we want to just put the business side of it aside, I think it's a shame. Um, so much of my internal world was built as a kid just from reading books. I was a very avid reader. Do you remember those Scholastic book
Oh
fairs?
yes, I was a part of those. Yes, and they
Yeah,
went to
yeah.
the schools, and
That was
you
the
could buy
best.
some of the books there. I
Yeah.
still, I still have a couple. I still have a couple of books somewhere from
Hmm.
all the way back then that I bought.
Hmm.
But that was, I don't know if they still have those anymore.
I don't know. I'm not sure. Oh, you know what? No, I think they do in select places.
Yeah.
I think they do. But they seem to be not as common as they used to be. Um, yeah, well, you mentioned social media and every we live in like amidst an attention economy right now.
Oh, very much so.
And so things that are out there and unfortunately readily available to a lot of people, including children, are all designed to capture your attention and keep it.
Yeah.
And reading it does take work. It takes focus, right? And it's not as sexy, quote unquote, as just watching a short video that is extremely stimulating and
I'll say this. So for me anyway, I always feel like it's relaxing reading. It's never, and I never feel stressed about reading. I know what you're saying though, but
I think it probably depends on what you're reading, maybe.
well, yeah, yeah. But I mean, for me, I like the fact it's not so stimulating.
Hmm.
But there's so much out there now, and stuff like TikTok, etc. Like people's attention spans more and more they feel shorter,
Yeah.
and that's what I'm really afraid of. And I've heard these articles of like them basically making these mini books now, or just trying to do different audiobook stuff where it's shortened out and just
Hmm.
basically the bare minimum. And that really, that's kind of what I worry about the most.
Yeah. Yeah. I hear that. I think I have the same feeling when I think about that. Um, I actually don't really listen to many audiobooks. I really enjoy, I'm old-fashioned in this way, but I
Oh
really
no,
enjoy
I understand. Yeah.
having the physical book and in my hands. I even have a Kindle that I don't really use. Um,
No,
yeah.
Kindle's a nice when I've used them on long, like last time I really used one on a long trip was when I flew to and from Italy. When you're on
Hmm.
the plane, it is nice. Like they have the movies you can watch. I didn't even bother with that. I just had the Kindle and read.
Hmm.
I mean, that's like 13-hour flight, but it was
Wow.
nice. But I mean, it's nice to have.
No.
I would highly suggest next time you fly to
Hmm.
have a Kindle. Like, yeah, you can have the books and stuff, but like the Kindle that can fit so much. There is a thing. It's not the same, but there is, I would say, pros to having digital format, especially if you're traveling. Um, so there is some positives if used in the right way. I'm not totally against digital formats. You can also
Hmm.
get books cheaper, and if you're still supporting the
That's true.
authors, and I've bought digital books from a number of authors. So in that aspect, I feel like it can be a positive if you're getting an audience and
Hmm.
like the book, if the word everything's the same, I don't have an issue with that. I don't want physical media to totally go away, but I
Oh
also
yeah, not at all. I don't have an issue with it either. I'm just saying I personally have not. I'm just drawn to the physical print book more.
there's something about that, and for me, especially with comics and comic books, when something's heavily illustrated or manga, you want to. It's something about having it printed, especially if it's on fine print. Like if the material is really good with comic books with manga, trying to see that different type of artwork, it's just
Hmm.
not the same in digital, and it just depends on what's readily available. The nice thing about today, now, it's easier to get those type of books where pre-Amazon or what have you, it was a lot harder.
Hmm. Yeah, that's true. Access is a lot easier. Um, but see, I think that's the thing. Like everything is just getting a little bit easier and a little bit faster. I was thinking about this before earlier today, basically. And I was thinking about how, I feel like our society is just in incessant pursuit of connectivity, constant progress, and constant productivity. So like even, having iPads in classrooms right now, it's kind of just like, well, we're in the digital age, like get with the times, right? Like that's the idea. And, we
Yeah.
can go paperless. There's the argument, like we can save the environment. We're not using as much paper. That's great. Um, but then like you have kids that are connected to the internet, like in school,
Oh
you know,
yes, and
it is that it's for research purposes or it's for the schoolwork, the part of the curriculum is online. I don't think that that's necessary. Is it necessarily bad? No, but is in the absence of it, do you truly miss out? I don't know.
well, I
I
it's funny you mentioned that. I've read something basically where studies have shown that it's easier to learn at that age doing pencil and paper because there's repetition than just on a screen for certain
Mhm.
things. I feel like at least to some degree you would still have, not that you can't have iPads there, but some things you just have to have pencil and paper. Something like, especially if you want to be disconnected from the internet, I feel like if you would just want to be concentrated on that, especially I would say elementary, middle school age, especially. I'm not a teacher, but that just seems logical that they would just, because I'm thinking about myself back in that age. I don't think that an iPad would have been a good thing.
Mm. I would agree. I mean, I was already trying to find games on the little bit of access I had to the internet when I was in school. I
Yeah,
remember playing the games on my TI 84 plus calculator. I don't
all
know.
those.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
And like
Uh,
that was me without internet access and I was playing games in class.
I mean, a lot of it, that's discipline. Um, Even as an adult, obviously, you don't have someone over your shoulder telling you when or when not to read.
Hmm.
But I think that going back to our argument as far as going to the library more, having your kids read, a lot of that is kind of on the parents.
Yeah.
And I don't have kids, but like as far as parenting, I know my brother does, but that basically there's a time where they just set aside no internet, no TV, nothing. So at that point, you're kind of, it's the only thing you can do, but that's the intention.
Yeah, I think so this makes me think of another topic, a closely related one about how boredom is good sometimes.
Oh
You
yes,
need to be bored. So I as a kid I did not have access to the TV. Like I barely watched TV as a kid. My mom was just really against it. And so I spent most of my time reading, doing schoolwork, or making something. And that obviously has affected the person I've become as an adult.
no, and I think that was a good decision on our part. It's kind of similar in my way. There's limits on the TV. I mean, there's times that me and my brothers played outside,
Mhm.
which is another thing that I feel like it's important just to not be behind a screen.
Although I do love video games.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's also moderation,
Right,
which is huge for
right.
anything really. Kind of a balance. And again, as far as when you're raising kids, you're trying to like instill on them not to like focus totally on one thing.
Hmm.
I feel like that's kind of the advantage of that.
Hmm. Well, so that also makes me think like I do think a lot of adults struggle with screen time. I know I
Oh
do. Like
yes,
I would be on my screens less, and I'm an adult. So the impulse control, the executive function that I'm supposed to have at my age should be better than that of, let's say, a 10-year-old.
I mean it's all
Um,
discipline. Yeah,
right. And so if I'm struggling with it,
you know that 10-year-old is going to be struggling.
you know that exactly.
Definitely.
Exactly. And it's not a surprise though, right? Because these, the social media companies or the makers of the apps, most of the ones that are really well known that everyone uses, there are entire teams of very, very smart people that get together with the intention of keeping our attention.
Yes, and you know,
Of course it's difficult for us to.
so I mean, there's a quote that director Christopher Nolan said, and basically he doesn't have a cell phone.
Mm,
So like that's when he's not connected online, and that's what he says he needs boredom at different points to get ideas and the such, and I can see that. And
hmm.
as far as whenever I'm doing music, a lot of times if I'm practicing or whatever, the cell phone's in the other room.
That's great.
No, I mean that's the only. I mean I discipline myself because you can be easily distracted. And it's times if I'm writing or rehearsing something that can happen.
Mm. Yeah.
And the same with writing or whatnot. And when you get bored at different points at work, at sometimes that's when you get the best ideas.
Hmm.
I feel like for writers or whatnot, I feel like that's important.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I actually get a lot of inspiration just on car rides.
Oh yeah,
I got one today as I was driving this earlier this morning, which I would say if I were to play devil's advocate to the argument that I'm making now, I would say one thing I do like about social media is my ability to find other creatives that are just
oh
starting
yeah,
out. That's one thing I have a personal Instagram account and then I have the one that's for my writing.
hmm
And I feel a little bit less guilty if I'm on Instagram, if I'm using my writing account, because I feel like I'm finding other people in the community. I'm either like supporting them or sharing their work. Um, and it's a different feeling from just, for lack of a better word, doom scrolling on my personal account.
Oh yeah, for sure, for sure. And I think again, that's moderation. And I like obviously I'm not against social media. This positives. Kind of I say have to use it for music promotion. You almost
Yeah.
if you're trying to promote yourself with whatever you're doing, it's impossible without social media to some extent in this day and age. Yes, you
Yeah.
can do it locally as well, but you you almost have to have social media to some extent. I don't know anyone who doesn't, who's trying to promote themselves
Hmm.
or others, mind you. Even if you're trying to promote somebody else or some organization, you almost have to have some type of social media presence.
Yeah, that's the first thing that I look at, unfortunately. Like when I'll go to maybe like an art event or a craft event or something in arts and cultures and art and culture, and I'll go and I'll see a stall and I'll say, "Hey, like where are you online?" And then usually it's like their Instagram, not even Facebook as much these days.
No, that's kind of on the
Yeah.
wayside in some
Yeah.
aspects.
Patreon sometimes, but it's always like you're there somewhere on social media,
Yeah.
Discord, YouTube. Um, yeah, it's like a requirement in the
Even
creative.
if you have a website, you still have to have like a Instagram or whatever account,
Yep,
a link to that website.
yep.
And,
I guess I guess that could potentially accept some bloggers. So there's actually a blogger that I learned about when I was an undergrad, but he's older now. It's I don't know how you pronounce it. Kotke, Kotke. And he built his own website and his own like blog there. It's quite nice. But I don't believe he has a very robust Instagram account. He does have one, but it's not robust, so it's pretty clear where he puts more of his effort, and that would be on his website.
oh, for sure. The challenge, I guess, for him would be to promote that website.
Yeah.
Um, how like you put in all the work in the website, which is good because honestly, that's where it should be. If that's really where the all the stuff is, it's just more. Well, that's the hardest thing for everybody. It's getting noticed
Right.
with or without social media.
Yeah. Yeah. It's difficult. It's also difficult because, you know, for lack of a better word, being a creative entrepreneur. A lot of a lot of authors, really, especially ones that want to self-publish. You're not just in charge of creating the product. You're not just writing. You also have to market it. You have to put yourself out there. You have to promote yourself. And for someone like me, I don't take pleasure in promoting myself. I don't feel like that's something that comes natural to me.
I
Uh,
feel that.
yeah, and a lot of times it just feels like forced. It feels a little fake, you know? Um, yeah. And I do think so I have this thought a lot when I think about my Instagram, the author Instagram that I have, which is how you found me.
Yes,
Um, and I do follow some pages that give tips on, how to grow your account. They're great tips. I think that if I were to follow everything that they said, I do think I probably would have more growth, but some of them just feel so inauthentic. And to be honest with you, like I struggle making reels. I struggle putting myself on camera
I feel that.
and much less doing that on a regular basis and then having a hook and then catching people and then giving like a value statement and then being funny and then all of this, but make sure it's in like, 20 seconds or less. It's
No, and that's the issue I have with stuff like TikTok and stuff. That's why I don't do reels. I feel that to a certain point, it's not worth it.
yeah.
Um, I feel that about promotion as well. With my Instagram, obviously, I have a band, but I mean, there's other stuff. I have my photography work as well, and I different points as far as these podcasts. Obviously, I promote different people, and I photograph different art shows. I don't feel comfortable just every post just being totally on me. This is something that feels, I guess, narcissistic about that. I mean, it's not something that I feel comfortable with,
Yeah,
if you know what I mean. Like with
I
some of
know
the,
exactly what you mean.
so that is something that naturally, I don't know if just humans have evolved to the point where that comes naturally on social media. I
Well,
don't.
I do think some people are naturally more extroverted.
Well, yeah, yes,
There's a little bit of that.
which is ironic since it's behind a screen. You're not physically. It's different when you're in a public place and
You
actually
know,
interacting.
I would be far more comfortable having like an intimate conversation, even if it was just me presenting.
Yeah,
I were presenting in person to like 10 people versus me being behind a screen streaming to like 1,000.
because
I
you don't
would,
know the 1,000 people.
but
You're not really in your mind. Like most of the people, you see them. There's no mystery.
mhm.
I don't
I
know. That's
like,
just me.
sorry, go ahead.
And I'm saying that's just me. That would be my issue. I don't know if you feel differently.
Mhm.
What are you saying?
I would be far more comfortable being in person with like 10 people. Oh, the other thing is like, do you know this? And this is related to what we're talking about. I have never paid to go to a concert in my life. It's predominantly because I'm not a huge fan of giant crowds of people.
Okay, I know. I totally get that.
I'm sorry. I know you you
No,
were at
no,
a concert.
no. I mean, obviously, with a lot of shows that I have, they are paid, but they're not expensive because it's only like three bands.
Hmm.
So they usually, I don't know how Philadelphia is, but as far as around here, it can be like $5, $10 fee, maybe a
Hmm.
bit more depending on who it is, as far as local acts. And when
Hmm.
you talk about those venues, depending on the venue and depending on the crowd, they're not what I would call huge crowds, but some venues they are, and I'm not a fan of huge crowds.
Hmm.
I feel that I definitely I usually don't play to huge crowds, but I have in the past, and it's easy on stage because I'm away from them. But once you're down back, it's just you can't really hear anything in between sets. It's hard to meet and converse with people when there's a crowd. I will say
Hmm.
this: it's not a good place for a first date or to actually meet people. A
Mm,
music show,
makes sense.
in my opinion. Some people might very much disagree, but it's there's a lot going on.
Yeah. 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 Um, in many ways, I feel like social media is the large crowd. It's,
It is it's a different feeling because you're not physically interacting with them.
you know, what's also interesting. I feel like sometimes people forget that it's a large crowd. It's a digital crowd, but
Yeah.
like sometimes people will post things and I don't think they realize the full extent to the full extent to which their content is being pushed to a massive, massive amount of strangers.
Oh, true. And that's why I'm careful as far as not being too public about different personal things in my life because I don't know who it's all going out to.
Hmm.
And there's times people are very open on different things. I mean, where to the point where I don't know if I'd be open to someone in public like that, like just talking to them.
Mm.
And especially if I didn't know them that well. And yet people do it with strangers essentially can see it.
So this reminds me of they typically go viral. I think it's on more on the TikTok side, not really as native to Instagram, where there will be people that are like crying into their camera about something horrific that just happened to them.
Yeah.
That the experience of me watching that feels strange to me.
Yeah. Because it's a moment that technically in the past you're not shouldn't be able to see.
Right. It, I don't I almost feel like my good versus bad judgment is suspended because all I'm feeling as I'm watching that is just this is unusual. There's something about what is happening here that is unusual. And it's becoming common and it goes viral because it really draws people in because maybe because of that unusual aspect of it.
Oh, I agree. I agree. Um, Unfortunately, time's almost up. Uh, with it's only so much time with the Zoom, unfortunately. But thank you, Emily. I will have the link in the description. But on the offhand, if you want to say it out loud, where can you find your?
My stuff. You can find my work on my Instagram, ironically. You can also find my Embers work at Ko-Fi. So that would be ko-fi.com, and then it would just be slash EK Zanker underscore writes. And that's also my Instagram handle.
Uh, yes, thank you. Very nice. I will definitely have it in the description. Thank you, Emily. I appreciate your time.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I'll see you soon.
See you soon.